All right. I think we're going to start since it is a couple minutes past. We just wanted to give time to wait for everybody to get in. So, hi everyone. Thanks for joining today's Tempus Nova Tip Time. We will be going over reminders and tasks. My name is Sophie Lightoff with Tempus Nova, and we've been a Google partner since 2008, which means we've done a lot of projects over the past couple of years, and we feel lucky enough to have watched the product offering evolve. So the Google Cloud product suite continues to grow with more services and features constantly being released. So we thought it would be a great time for us to begin a weekly webinar series. We're going to cover various topics throughout the entire series, but today mostly focusing on reminders and tasks within your Gmail account. These sessions are short and sweet. We only take about 15 minutes to cover one or two topics that we think would be beneficial to learn more tips about. And each week we will have a description. So if you decide it's something that could be of interest to you or potentially one of your coworkers. So today, Gary Wegner, who is also our Google certified trainer, will be leading the webinar, and he has over 500,000 views on the YouTube training channel. So it's also a perfect time to see all the folks follow him would be interested in learning about all the different products and his special tips for them. So I'll hand it over to Gary if you want to get started with the reminders in Gmail.
Thank you, Sophie. Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Gary Wegner, otherwise known as Gary the Google Guy. And with that, we're going to be talking about reminders and tasks. And they're kind of different, but they're kind of similar. So we're going to show you some differences and some things you can do in Mail, and then we'll jump into Google Calendar. So with that, let's start off in our mail screen since that's where we're at. Now, you don't really have reminders per se in Google Mail, kind of like what you have in Google Calendar, and I'll show you the difference there. You do have some things that you can use as a replacement for that, shall we call it. The first thing that you can do is if you hover over an email, you should see a snooze button. Now, the snooze feature is something that we covered in our first webinar series. That is basically your Gmail reminder. Makes an email disappear from your inbox for a period of time at which you designate what date, what time you want that to appear back in your inbox. Then it will pop up at the top of your inbox view for you to take care of. That's kind of like an email reminder that some people are used to. That is about it for reminders in Google Mail. Now, in terms of tasks, to the right side of the screen, you have the calendar, keep, and task icons in that window. If we select on the task icon, we will see the taskbar up here. Now, there's a big difference between tasks and reminders, especially when we're talking within either this pane or within Google Calendar. Tasks are for you and only you. No one can see them. You can't share them out. They're for you and only you, and that's it. When it comes to working with reminders, especially in Calendar, reminders can be shared out. They can be assigned, shall we call them, a little bit different in that regard. But the program that I recommend, if you are one of those people that likes to delegate and share your tasks out with people, I highly recommend Google Keep. Another day, another period of time for talking about that program because we're just going to concentrate on tasks and reminders here. So when it comes to your task list, as I said, it's private to you and only you. We can go to the top right corner of the screen and click on the add a task and start typing. And I can just type in information like I need to call Carl, and I can add some additional information by clicking the pencil. I can add those details, maybe a phone number, maybe details that are about it, and so on. I have the ability of creating multiple task lists. So I can only show one at a time, but I do have the ability of creating multiple. So I have my main tasks, my work, and then I have my project ABC. So you can really separate the to-dos between those different things. We can also, what has recently been added is being able to add a date and time, which you only used to be able to do that with your reminders in Calendar. You can now do that with your tasks, and that will pop up as somewhat of a reminder here in Gmail if that's what you want to call it. But what's nice is you can select your date, you can set your time for whatever time that you would like that to occur, We can even make these repeating, which I absolutely love this feature because of the fact that I have certain things that I need to do. Like, for example, just something simple is by 3 or 4 o'clock in the afternoon on a Friday, hey, don't forget to submit your time card. Those kinds of things. Go back and tweak whatever I need to do for reports or things of that nature. And you can make them repetitive, which is really nice. You can have them every day, week, month, year, just like you do a calendar invite. We can have a start date, end time, and so on. And now we've got that daily at 10:30 p.m. and so on for that task. And now it's been added to our to-do list up at the top there. In the very upper top portion of that task list, we can click on the little arrow, create a new list. So we can create something from here. And we can also do all of this in our calendar window as well, which I'll point out when we get there. Now, another really helpful piece is that we can create a to-do, a task, from an email. Now, you can either be inside of an email, so if we go inside of one, in the three-dot menu at the top, you'll see that there's an option of add to tasks. Or if you are in your main view, maybe you've already read that email. Oh yeah, that's right, I was supposed to do that within that email. I'm just going to create that link and reminder to it. You can click and drag an email to your taskbar, drop it into that top portion, and now it's created a link to that specific email that it was created from. But then you also have the ability of going to the pencil, add some of those details, maybe even add some subtasks. So if you're organizing an event, don't forget to catering, order food, order drinks, or whatever it may be. You can add those subtasks in relation to. And you can work with those that way. If you're complete, select a little box or a little circle, we should say, to the left, and it will disappear from your view. Down at the very bottom of our screen, once this little banner goes away, if we go all the way down, we'll see I have completed items. I can click on that and see everything that we've completed and scroll up. And if I need to put one back into play, I can click the little incomplete check mark box there, and we have now put that back into our queue for us to start working with again. So that's tasks here in our mail screen. Now let's switch over to our Google Calendar view. You'll see in the lower left corner of my screen, I have both reminders and tasks turned on. If I would like to start with one, why don't we just start with tasks since we just covered that. You'll see that same task icon to the right side of the screen. And when you have tasks as a calendar list item turned on, you will now see, especially if you have designated a date and time for a task, you will see that show up on your calendar as an event and so on. Once again, very helpful because it used to be where every single task that you created would only pop up at the very top underneath the date that you had assigned it, and that's it. So it's now got the ability to be able to be on your calendar for a date and a time, which I really like as well. But in the same window, you have the same functionality that we just went over of creating and working with, minus the piece of dragging an email into this frame. So those are going to be tasks, and once again, they're for you and only you. No one else sees this. Now let's talk about reminders. So for reminders, reminders are really cool because of the fact you can have them created as an all-day piece. When they are turned on in the left, you'll see that we have an add title and time. If you just want it to be at the top of your screen, we could say don't forget to call Jenny, and I'll just put the phone number here just so I don't forget it. And I can create a reminder as you see underneath the phone number there. I can add that additional information of date and time if I want, or repeating, and then save. And now I have that at the top of my screen underneath the 22nd. Or I can designate a date and time. So if I select an area like 1 p.m., go to add title, run my reports, reminder, I can make it that repeating piece once again, the same kind of thing as we showed you before, only this time it's going to be a little bit more detailed for the specific date that I'm working with, like annually on or every fourth Wednesday of the month, whatever it may be. And then, like a calendar invite, we can go to custom and create those just like you would a calendar invite. So if you've ever created a recurring meeting in Google Calendar, you are going to be in good company because there's no learning curve to this. It's the exact same pull down menus and functionality in that regard. So you can create a reminder that way, click on save, and now that reminder will be on your calendar. The part that I adore the most of reminders, and I use reminders for just about everything in my life these days because I'm a forgetful kind of guy sometimes, I have to admit. But what I use them for is for anything personal, anything work, things to do, little pieces of information that I may need when I'm going to be speaking to someone before a call or things of that nature. Just that little snippet. But what's really nice about it is that if you create these as to-dos, once again, no one sees these but you. But the nice part about this is that if I don't get to it today, it rolls over to the top of the next day, and the next day, and the next day, and the next day until you mark it as being complete. So up at the top underneath our 21, we see that we've got 3 reminders. If I click on that, oh yeah, that's right, I was supposed to pay those invoices. Whoops. Now, the other piece that you can do with reminders is connected to Google Keep. If you ever go to Google Keep and you use that program to create a reminder, it will actually, when you hover over the image or the item in your pull down here, as you see to the right side of each one, like pay invoices, I see a pencil, a garbage can, and a check mark. However, if I go to this bottom one, which is time management, it's a class I'm working on developing. See that little light bulb? View that related note in Google Keep. So you can set up reminders connected to Google Keep notes, which is another big bonus there. So you'll see that icon and know where you generated that from, get more information from it, and so on. So these are things that I didn't get done yesterday or the day before. I can edit them, maybe change the date to a different date if I want to. I can delete them if I need, or I can mark something as being complete. Now, with the ones that are on my screen for tomorrow of the 22nd, if I just click on it, I can edit it, delete it, or if I'm done with it, I can mark it as being complete, and it strikes it through on the top of the day that you completed it. So you can actually keep track of when you completed these things, which is another very helpful piece. Oh, and probably the coolest bonus to reminders, if you have notifications set up for like those pop-ups that you get on your phone, these will actually sync up to pop up on your phone like a calendar event notification, letting you know, hey, don't forget to call the vet at 3 p.m. today, or whatever it may be. Or if you didn't get to something from yesterday or before, it will pop up as a reminder the first thing when you turn your phone on in the morning. So I really like reminders, I really like tasks, and I use them in different ways for different things. The other nice piece about them is that when they're turned on in the calendar view, you can color code them accordingly like you do with a Google Calendar. We can click on the 3 dots to the right of it, pick the color that we want or a custom color, and that will change the color to whatever you want them to stand out as on your Google Calendar. So with that, that is Google Tasks and Google Reminders in Google Mail and Calendar. Just as an FYI, recently released as well, is there is a app that you can download for your phone for both iOS as well as Android. That is Google Tasks, and you can have those created on your phone to sync up with the window on your computer. So with that, everyone, thank you very much for attending. I am going to pass things back over to Maddie or to Sophie, if Maddie got on the call here or not. But Sophie, you can take it away if not. And with that, thank you, everyone. This is Gary, the Google guy. And with that, Sophie, take it away.
All right. Well, thank you, Gary. That was perfect timing, 15 minutes. And thanks for always keeping this short and sweet. Also, a big thanks to everyone for joining. We hope you found today's session helpful. Feel free to visit our YouTube training channel. Gary, the Google guy, creates 2 to 3 minute video snippets whenever and user features are released. So feel free to follow him to stay current. And also, feel free to visit our homepage. We recently added all of the weekly webinars onto the website so that you're able to watch them whenever you please. Thank you so much, and we'll see you next week.